Welcome to Reading to Children. Today we'll be reading the book Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time there was a lovely little girl who lived in a cottage at the edge of the woods. Everyone in the village called her Little Red Riding Hood because whenever she ran errands for her mother, she wore a beautiful red cape. One day, Little Red Riding Hood's mother sent her on a special errand. She gave her a basket of goodies and said, "Your grandmother is not feeling well today. Bring her these biscuits and give her a big hug to cheer her up. But don't wander from the forest path," she warned, "and be back before nightfall." You see, Little Red Riding Hood had to follow the forest path all the way to the other side where her grandmother lived. But it was such a nice morning that she soon forgot her mother's warning. Once she set foot in the woods, she could smell the wonderful perfume of flowers and the sweet smell of wild strawberries. "Hum," she sighed, "the flowers smell so wonderful. I'll bring a bouquet to Grandma." And she began to wander from the path, picking flowers here and there. Little Red Riding Hood got so carried away picking flowers and nibbling on wild strawberries that she wandered deeper and deeper into the forest. Little did she know that the big bad wolf was watching her from behind a big tree. As the little girl came near the tree, the wolf quickly smoothed his fur and cleared his throat. "What a beautiful bouquet you have!" he exclaimed, jumping out from his hiding place. Little Red Riding Hood was quite frightened and took a few steps back. "Don't be afraid, my dear," continued the sly wolf. "Where are you going with those beautiful flowers? You're not lost, are you?" No, stuttered Little Red Riding Hood. "I'm going to see my grandmother on the other side of the forest to bring her some biscuits." "Isn't that nice?" said the wolf. "I'll show you a shortcut which will get you there faster." But the nasty wolf had a nasty plan. He wanted to get there first, so he showed Little Red Riding Hood the longest way instead. As soon as she was out of sight, the wolf ran as fast as he could in the other direction. The big bad wolf arrived at the grandmother's house in no time. He caught his breath and knocked on the door. "Who's there?" asked the grandmother. "It's your granddaughter, bringing you some biscuits," said the wolf, imitating Little Red Riding Hood's voice as best he could. "How lovely! Come in, my dear, come in," said the grandmother cheerfully. The wolf didn't wait to be asked twice. He burst through the door, jumped on the poor old woman, and gobbled her up. Then he put on Grandma's nightgown, bonnet, and glasses, and slid into her bed. "This way the little one won't recognize me," he snickered as he pulled the covers up to his chin. It wasn't long before Little Red Riding Hood arrived and knocked on the door. "Who's there?" asked the clever wolf, this time imitating the grandmother's voice. "It's me, Grandma," said the little girl, not suspecting a thing. "Come in, my dear, come in," repeated the wolf. Little Red Riding Hood opened the door and went in very slowly as the room was very dark. "Come closer, my dear," beckoned the wolf. "I keep the shutters closed because the light is too strong for my poor old eyes." "But Grandma," exclaimed Little Red Riding Hood, "what a deep voice you have! the better to greet you with, replied the wolf. Little by little, the girl's eyes became accustomed to the dark and stepped closer to the bed. But Grandma, she exclaimed, what big eyes you have! The better to see you with, whispered the wolf. And what big ears you have, Grandma! The better to hear you with, replied the wolf with a big smile. And what big teeth you have, cried the frightened little girl. The better to eat you with, growled the wolf, and he leapt out of the bed. Little Red Riding Hood screamed as loud as she could, but it was no use. The wolf swallowed her up too. With a fat, full tummy, the big bad wolf fell into a deep sleep. He was snoring very loudly when along came a hunter who had heard Little Red Riding Hood's cries for help. Through the window he saw the wolf in Grandma's clothing and immediately understood what had happened. "Take that, you nasty creature!" he shouted, and shot the wolf dead. The hunter then took out his knife and cut the wolf's stomach open. Out came Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother, safe and sound. "There's nothing to fear now," the hunter reassured them. "Thank you, kind sir. You saved our lives," said the old lady. "Won't you join us for some tea and biscuits?" And so the three of them sat down together to eat the goodies that Little Red Riding Hood had brought in her basket. So what do you think of the story, children? What do you think is the moral of this story? Make sure to listen to your mother when she sends you off on little errands. Hope to see you next time. Bye!